Welcome back everyone to the Morning Grind Fondo Season 2 race number 4. Today we take on the crit style course around the Volcano Circuit CCW. You're following this race with Team DIRT. DIRT stands for Dad's Inside Riding Trainers. We are normal everyday guys, no superpowers attached, and you'll see us wearing the pink level 20 jerseys. Last week, we saw another big sprint finish out of Chris Ostberg as he remains the man to beat, followed by Mellow Johnny and Robert Anderson. Chris Ostberg continues to dominate the GC leaderboard with a group of 5 other athletes close on his heels and fighting to take over. This week's course is 8 laps of the Volcano Circuit counterclockwise, a flat crit-style course that is guaranteed to be fast-paced. With only a few ramps and kickers leading into the volcano to break things up, this is a course that won't see a lot of separation and will definitely come down to the sprinters at the end of the race. The start of the race comes roaring out of the pins, the first 30 seconds full of 7 watt per kilogram efforts. For the Morning Grind Fondo series, the power-ups are only allowed through the lead-in and will be lost shortly after starting the race. Unlucky for me as I come into this race not having any power-ups and have to fight to keep hold of the group as others use theirs in the initial chaos. I highly recommend viewing some of Chris Pritchard's newest videos on the importance of power-ups and how they impact a race. They are great videos and great important topics. As we coast down the descent from the volcano switchbacks, Ostberg uses his size and raw power to attack early and set a commanding tone for this race. This is what the DIRT team expected, and we hope to let him do the work on the front while we sit back and maintain numbers. On this flat course, the draft and speed of the peloton is the ultimate deciding factor. A break won't be successful unless it has numbers as well. Carrying roughly 45 in the peloton, we had dropped nearly half the field in the first 4 miles. Ostberg again attacks the same downhill switchback, something that we proceed to see nearly every lap and clearly his own strategy to try and keep some separation in the group. We rein in the GC leader and around we go. Ostberg continues to sit on the front and remains firmly in a controlling position of the field. Besides our numbers, another advantage that our team has on the opposing racers is our team Discord channel. During the race, Discord gives us the ability to talk to each other, and we do a great job of identifying positions of key opposition throughout this race. Constantly, reports of what Buckland, Ostberg, and Mellow Johnny are doing keep us working together as a team. This race is an ever-churning sea of colors, constantly changing leaders and holding a steady average speed of 28 miles per hour. With 8 laps of a small course and very few challenges aside from the ramp into the volcano, the pace stays high, and watching the replay, we look like we are flying through the roads of Watopia. This race overall probably turns out to be one of the easier courses. Nearly halfway through the race and we still have a group of 40+ racers in the peloton. Very little attrition since the initial surges out of the starting pins. With 10.9 miles in, I find myself too far back, sitting in 30th position and started to advance up. Another turn through the lap banner and still 5 laps to go. I rejoin the front and led as we exit the volcano. Personally, for me, I find that I have to maintain a position in the top 10 or 15 or I lose contact with the peloton. A viewer of my live stream suggested that my cadence, which is extremely low in this race, needs to increase. I appreciate the observation and I agree. I carry a very low average cadence of about 73 RPMs as an average through this race. Definitely abnormally low. As we head into another lap banner, the race had turned into a predictable set of intervals, holding roughly 5.5 on the ramps, 3.5 on the flats, and 2.5 on the descents. Just look at this predictable power graph that you can see on my screen. A double hump, a single hump, and then back to another double hump at the lap banner. As we exit the volcano, the favorites sit at the front. Ostberg and Buckland still appear to be strong, and Team DIRT needs to come up with a plan to try to make these guys work a little and catch them off guard. Brian Carver played team director over Discord, hatching a plan to send 4 riders on an attack at the next ramp to the lap banner. Before we could launch our elite breakaway team off the front, Buckland and Ostberg launched a mutual attack trying to drive the pace, and this one definitely hurt. With only 2 laps to go, it was time for our plan to be executed. As we hit the ramp, 4 pink jerseys can be seen exploding out of the saddle, up the short climb, and putting orange numbers on the board. Up and into the volcano they pulled away, and it worked. The group of 4 hammered away from the peloton, breaking away from the double draft, and putting immediate pressure on the opposition. With a break of 4 riders from the same team, the GC contenders are forced to react and respond, while DIRT sits back to relax. Half a lap later and the band of 4 is still away. Just under 20 miles into this race, the group is finally caught and Osberg launches a serious counterattack in the same downhill that he has been all day. With 1 lap to go, I was deep inside the pain cave and unsure if I had much to sprint on. With 1 mile left, I fell from 4th back to 24th. A very dangerous spot for me to be in with this final acceleration incoming. Throughout the descent and the following flats, I did move back into the top position in the front 10, but a final lapse in concentration at the kicker of the ramp had me hitting the gas about a half second too late. Here is where I lost my shot at the sprint. Watch as the field accelerates and I react just moments too slow. The orange numbers fly and the sprint is underway. Starting from 1,000 feet out, it was a long, brutal push to move myself from 28th up to 17th for the final finish. Sadly, I could not make up the positions that I had lost. And not only had I lost my top 10 sprint opportunity, but I also lost my stomach. Man, that sprint hurt. The entire race had been a revolving sea of change, and the final sprint was no different. Jason Stern pulled off a perfectly timed sprint to take the top step of the podium, with Paul Buckland in second and Chris Osberg in third. Mellow Johnny took fourth, with Alexander Samashin in fifth, and Rich B and Tim Busick also placed in the top 10 for DIRT. For our GC standings, Chris Osberg keeps a 70-point lead on Jason Stern, who is in second. Mellow Johnny in third, with Paul Buckland and Chris Adlington rounding out the top 5, all over 200 points. 4 other DIRT team athletes sit in the GC top 10, but miles away from the front group of 5. In the team competition, DIRT remains dominant with no real rival. 12 results and 688 points top the charts, and the closest next team is R2R Racing in Team Type 1. Next week, the MGF Series returns to London for another crit course on the London Classique, and surely another sprint finish. 6 laps of what will be a 3.3 mile course and only 62 feet of climbing per lap, mostly coming on long, slow drags. Total elevation for the stage, 372 feet. That's it. It's going to be a fast one, so bring out your aero bike, hit that subscribe button, and join us next week in London.
Oh, I just threw up. Oh.